Last episode, we built a modular room creation system with transition fades, difficulty increases, and handled our door arrow indicators. Today, we're finally going to make a start on our player death, making it so that when the zombies attack, they'll do damage, and when the player reaches 0 health, they'll die. So I've actually already done a lot of the legwork and have the base of this functional, so I'm going to take you through the steps in the process to get this working. So to start, I've gone and got a death animation from Mixamo and imported it into my scene and done all the normal setup which we've done before. If you need a refresher on downloading, importing and using the Mixamo animations, head back to episode 2 where we were handling the player animations and just copy that process, as that's exactly what I did to get this animation in. So with our death animation imported, I'm going to go inside of the animator controller of the player. I've imported the death animation into this animator controller and created a new boolean for player dead. I've created a transition from our blend tree to the death animation, removed the exit time and transition time so that it happens immediately when they do die, and assigned the condition of player dead to true. Now let's set up the attacking logic that we'll need for our zombie. Inside of our zombie prefab, create a new empty game object called attack damage sphere and attach a sphere collider, which is a trigger. Then create a new C# script called zombie attack sphere, and we'll attach this to both our zombie asset, which has the animator on it, and to our attack damage sphere. We'll then move into our animations for the zombie, open the attack animation, and we'll add 2 animation events. These events will be what turn on and off our attack damage sphere collider. Inside of our script, we'll have a serialized field game object called attack sphere, and create 2 new public void methods called enable attack sphere and disable attack sphere. Since we're also putting this script on our attack sphere, we'll also create a new onTriggerEnter method to see if the overlapping game object name is player, and if it is, get a reference to the player's player controller, and then we'll call a method called playerTakeDamage. So you'll get an error temporarily, but we're going to fix this in a moment by going into our player controller and creating it. Now we'll head into our player controller script and add 3 new variables, being regen time, max health, and health. You'll see again I've done some variable organization for our player controller to make the code a bit more clear. Now we'll go to the bottom of our script and create 2 new methods, one being playerTakeDamage, and we'll also create a new IEnumerator called regen health over time. Inside of this enumerator, I'm going to wait for seconds by our regen time, then check if our health is greater than or equal to our max health. If our health does equal our max health, then we'll just set it to max health. Else, we'll increase our health by 1, meaning if they have 4 health, then it will go to the else statement and increase their health by 1, putting them back up to 5. Then we'll start the coroutine of regen health over time again, so that we get an endless loop. If we then go to the top of our script in our start method, and then start the coroutine of regen health over time, this will just be a continuous loop, always checking to see if their health has gone down and regenning. Next, in our playerTakeDamage method, we'll take 1 health away from the player. Then, if our health is less than or equal to 0, we'll set the ball in our player animation of player dead to true, playing our death animation. Then we'll get the component of our player controller and capsule collider and set their enabled status to false. Then do a get component in children of assault rifle and set that enabled status to false. Finally, get the component of rigid body and destroy it. We're doing all of this so that when we die, the player will die in place and we'll get no weirdness going on with like the physics or movement being pushed around, stuff like that. Now, if we press play, you'll see that if you let the zombies attack you and for your health to go all the way down to 0, the death animation will play and the user will no longer be able to input any movement. You'll also want to fuck around with how you're doing like your attack range stuff with your zombies so that they actually can be in range when they go to attack the player. So yeah, give this a play test, get it all set up for yourself, and then we'll move on to the next steps. Now, since we have the ability for the player to die, we'll also want to create a way for them to restart the game. So we'll do this through UI. Inside of your UI game object, I'm going to create a new empty child and call it Game Over Screen. I'll add 2 buttons to this, one for restart and one for quit. For the moment, I'm just going to place them in the middle of the screen with a bit of distance apart. We'll come back to doing a proper design for these later on down the line. Now, I'm going to create a new C# script, call it Scene Management, and open it up. Inside the script, I'll create 2 public methods called Reload Scene and Quit Game. For reload scene, we'll simply say scenemanager.loadScene0, and for quit game, we'll just put application.quit. I'll also put a little debug.log in here just so that I know, because we won't get the quit happen in editor. Now go back into our player controller, create a new game object reference called GameOverUI, and set it to active in our playerTakeDamage method when their health is less than or equal to 0. Back in the inspector, click on your player, populate the UI parent variable, then go into your GameOverUI and assign the buttons the public void methods which we made in our scene management. If you haven't already, put the scene management script on your UI game object. Now when you press play, you should see that we're able to restart our game when we die. Alright, cool. Next episode, we'll spice up the death a little bit by adding more sound effects to go along with that. And we might do some improvements on the player controller, like maybe add a sprint or a dash roll. I'm not too sure. That will either be next episode or the episode after, but that'll be coming up as well. So yeah, see you later.